lost, alone, crying. Everyone walked past, except her. This child isn't yours. She's a complete stranger. Would you stop? Would you help her? Or would you just keep walking? And somewhere else in that same mall, two parents were running, searching, desperate, because their little girl was missing. Saturday afternoon, mother and daughter shopping. Normal day. Nothing unusual, nothing to mark it as different from any other. Just a normal day. When you're afraid of doing the wrong thing, can you still do the right thing? Even when you're just 10 years old? Started like any other Saturday. Mother, 10-year-old daughter heading to the mall. Nothing special. Some shopping, maybe lunch after. Normal day. The kind where nothing happens. Or so they thought. They'd stopped at the toy store. Nora wanted to look at the books. Her mother, Chloe, had said okay. Just for a few minutes. But then Chloe's phone buzzed. A text. A sale at the tech store. 20 minutes left. She needed to go. Now. Stay here, she told Nora, touching her shoulder. 10 minutes. I'll be right back. Nora nodded, already lost in the colorful book covers. And Chloe hurried away. Nora was looking at the books when she heard it. A sound that didn't belong in a cheerful toy store. Crying, soft at first, then louder. She turned. And there, just a few feet away, was a little girl, maybe 5 or 6 years old, sitting on the floor, alone, crying, and all around her people walked past, browsing, shopping, completely unaware, or maybe just choosing not to see. Nora didn't think. She just moved, walking over to the little girl, kneeling down beside her. "Hey," she said softly. "Are you okay?" The little girl looked up. Her face was streaked with tears. Her eyes were wide and scared. "What's your name?" Nora asked gently. The girl hiccuped, wiped her nose. "Eliza," she whispered. "Where's your mommy?" The tears came faster. "I don't know. I can't find her." Nora looked around. Where was her mom? 10 minutes, she'd said. But how long had it been? 5? 10? 15? No idea. And now there was a problem. Little girl, lost, scared, needed help. But Nora was 10. No phone, no idea where her mother was. Leave Eliza here while she searched? No, couldn't do that. Eliza was too little, too scared. Couldn't just, no. Nora took a breath, made a decision. She reached out her hand. "Come on, I'm going to help you find your mommy, okay?" Eliza looked at her hand, then her face, then slowly nodded. Small fingers wrapped around Nora's. "I won't leave you alone," Nora said. "We'll find help together." And they walked. Two kids, hand in hand, through a crowded store, looking for someone. Security desk, center of the store. Man in dark blue uniform looked up as they approached. "Can I help you?" Nora took a breath. "This girl is lost. I found her crying. She can't find her parents." Thompson, that was his name tag, knelt down to Eliza's level, not talking over her, down to her. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Eliza," she whispered. "Okay, Eliza." He nodded once. "We're going to find your mom and dad. I promise." Officer Thompson picked up the microphone. His voice echoed through the store's speaker system. "Attention shoppers. We have a lost child at the information desk. Eliza, age 5. Her parents are asked to please come to the information desk immediately." He set down the microphone and smiled reassuringly at Eliza. "They'll hear that and come right away. Just wait here." Nora and Eliza sat down on a nearby bench. And they waited. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3. But nobody came. Meanwhile, on the other side of the mall, Ava and Mark were searching desperately. They'd checked every store, every aisle, every bathroom. Nothing. Now they were in the children's play area. It was loud, crowded, kids running and screaming, parents talking, music playing. They looked behind the play equipment, under the slides, between the climbing structures. But Eliza wasn't there, and the PA announcement, in all that noise, they never even heard it. Chloe had been searching everywhere for Nora. She'd left her at the toy store. 10 minutes, she'd said. But that was 20 minutes ago. Where was she? Panic rising, Chloe rushed through the store. And then she saw her, at the security desk, with a little girl and a security guard. Nora! She hurried over. I've been looking everywhere for you. What happened? Nora gestured to Eliza. Mom, this is Eliza. She's lost. I found her crying and brought her here. Chloe looked at the small, frightened child, and her expression softened. 5 minutes, then 10. Eliza's eyes kept moving. Every person who walked by, hoping, checking. Not that one. Not that one. Nora sat beside her, tried to think of something to say. What do you say to a scared 5-year-old? That everything would be okay? She didn't know if that was true. Chloe stood nearby, talking quietly with Thompson. Should we make another announcement? One more in a few minutes. He kept his voice low. But the system only covers this floor. If her parents are on a different level. He stopped there. Didn't need to finish. Then, movement. A couple, rushing. Woman in her 30s, man beside her, both frantic. Desperate in the way only lost child desperate looks. Lily, the woman called out. Lily, is that you? Thompson stepped forward. Are you looking for a lost child? Yes, our daughter Lily, 5 years old. We can't find her anywhere. Nora's heart jumped. 5. A girl. But Eliza wasn't moving toward them, just staring, wide-eyed, confused. The woman rushed closer, then stopped. Face fell. That's not Lily. This is Eliza, Thompson said, gentle. Different child. Oh. Hand went to her mouth. Oh, I'm so sorry. When we heard the announcement, we just thought, keep looking. I'll contact you if we hear anything about Lily. They hurried away, still calling her name. Nora watched them go and felt something shift. Hadn't thought about it before. Other lost kids out there. Other scared parents moving through the same crowded floors, checking every face. But she could only help one. Eliza was crying again. Harder. I want my mommy. Where is she? Nora put her arm around her shoulders. She's coming. Tried to sound sure. I promise, she's coming. 15 minutes now. Still nobody. She needs water, Chloe said quietly. She's been crying 20 minutes. She's exhausted. Thompson nodded. Cafeteria's just around the corner. Take her. I'll stay here, come get you the second her parents show. So they went. Food court was quieter. Few families, some teenagers in the corner, mostly empty. Better. They sat near the window. Chloe went for water. Nora stayed with Eliza. No more crying. But she looked so small. Hands folded in her lap, eyes on the entrance. Watching. Waiting. Do you go to school? Nora asked. Slight nod. Kindergarten. You like it? Tiny shrug. What's your favorite thing? Drawing? Playing? Something shifted in Eliza's face, just slightly. I like swings. Swings are good, Nora said. When I was your age, I'd go so high I felt like flying. Smallest hint of a smile. There, then gone. Chloe came back with water and a cookie. Here, sweetheart, drink this. Eliza took the cup with both hands. Small sips, hands still shaking a little. Nora watched her and felt something tighten in her chest. Wasn't fair. Eliza was just a kid. Shouldn't be sitting in a food court scared, hands shaking over a paper cup. Should be with her parents somewhere, safe. Where do you think they are? Nora whispered. Chloe shook her head. Different floor, maybe. Didn't hear the announcement? Maybe. She trailed off. They sat, Eliza drinking, Nora and Chloe not saying anything. Then Thompson appeared at the entrance, walking fast, expression serious. Any news? Chloe asked. No. 25 minutes now. He crouched beside Eliza. Don't worry, kiddo. We're gonna find them. Promise. But Nora heard it. The thing underneath the words. Uncertainty. She stared at the entrance and let the thought come. The one she'd been pushing away. What if they couldn't find them? What if Eliza's parents had left? What if they were somewhere else in the mall, just as lost, just as scared? What then? Chloe went to find Thompson, just for a minute. Left Nora and Eliza at the table. Two kids, one trying to be brave, the other trying not to cry. Eliza's lip was trembling again, eyes filling, fixed on the entrance, still watching, still hoping. Nora couldn't just sit there. Hey, soft. You want me to tell you a story? Eliza looked at her, uncertain, and then nodded. Okay. What kind of story do you tell a scared 5-year-old? Nora thought fast. Fairy tales, adventures, happy endings. Once upon a time, she started, there was a little girl named Luna. Eliza's eyes went slightly wider, listening. Luna was brave, but one day she got lost in a big magical forest. Trees so tall she couldn't see the sky. Strange sounds everywhere, shadows. Eliza shifted closer. Her small hand found Nora's sleeve and held on. She was scared at first, didn't know which way to go. But then she remembered something her mother told her. What? Eliza whispered. First word in several minutes. Her mother said, when you're lost, don't panic. Stay where you are, and someone who loves you will always find you. Eliza's grip tightened. So Luna sat down on a big rock, and she waited, still scared. But she trusted it. And you know what happened? Eliza shook her head, eyes never leaving Nora's face. Her mother found her, searched the whole forest, and when she finally saw Luna on that rock, she ran, hugged her so tight, and she said, I will always find you, no matter what, no matter how lost you are. I will always find you. A tear rolled down Eliza's cheek. Different this time. Not fear exactly. Something else. Your mommy is looking for you right now, Nora said. Just like Luna's, searching everywhere. And she will find you, I promise. Eliza looked at her for a long moment, then slowly leaned into Nora's side. Small body against Nora's arm, just resting there. Nora put her arm around her. They sat like that, not talking. Almost strangers, really. But something else, too, in that moment. Something that didn't need a name. Nora didn't know if Eliza's mother would find her, didn't know how it ended. But she knew one thing. She wasn't leaving, not until Eliza was safe. 15 minutes had passed since the first announcement, and still nothing. The mall was getting more crowded by the minute. Saturday evening rush, families arriving for dinner, teenagers meeting friends, the aisles filling with shoppers. Nora couldn't just sit anymore. She had to do something. Mom, she said, can we walk around? Maybe we'll see them. Maybe they're looking in the wrong place. Chloe looked at Officer Thompson, who nodded. Stay on this floor and keep your phone on. I'll call if anyone shows up here. So they walked, Nora holding Eliza's hand on one side, Chloe on the other, three of them moving through the crowd, looking at every face, searching for someone who looked like they'd lost a child. Eliza was quiet now, too tired to cry. She walked between them like a little ghost, her feet dragging, her eyes scanning every adult who passed. "What does your mommy look like?" Nora asked gently. "She has black hair," Eliza whispered, "like mine. And she wears white. She always wears white." White. Nora looked around. So many people. So many colors. But how many women in white? They walked past the clothing stores, past the shoe shops, past the electronics section where Chloe had gone earlier for that sale. The sale that had started all of this. Nora felt a pang of guilt. If her mom hadn't left her alone, if she'd gone with her, would she have even noticed Eliza? Would anyone have helped her? But there was no point thinking about that now. What mattered was finding Eliza's parents. "There," Eliza suddenly shouted, pulling at Nora's hand. "There, I see." She stopped. Her face crumpled. It wasn't her mother. Just another woman in a white shirt, another stranger. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," Chloe said softly. Eliza's eyes filled with tears again, but she didn't cry. She just kept walking, kept looking, kept hoping. They circled the entire floor, checked every corner, every store entrance, every bench and waiting area. Nothing. 20 minutes now, and still no sign of Eliza's parents. Nora's legs were tired, her feet hurt, but she didn't complain. Because Eliza was still walking, still searching. And if this 5-year-old could keep going, so could she. "Let's go back to Officer Thompson," Chloe finally said. "Maybe he has news." They turned around and headed back toward the security desk. The crowd seemed even thicker now. More people pushing past, more noise, more chaos. Nora held Eliza's hand tighter. And she wondered, where were they? Eliza's parents? Were they even still in the mall? Were they looking too? Or had something happened to them? She pushed the thought away. She couldn't think like that. Not now. They just had to keep looking. Keep hoping, keep believing. Because somewhere out there, a mother was searching for her daughter. And Nora refused to give up until they found each other, back at the security desk. Exhausted. Nothing to show for 20 minutes of searching. Thompson read it on their faces before anyone spoke. "No luck?" Chloe shook her head. "Entire floor. Checked everywhere." He nodded slowly. Reached for the PA, different button this time. "This one goes to all floors," he said. "Every speaker, everyone hears it." Eliza looked up, eyes wide. Thompson cleared his throat, and his voice, when it came through, was different, urgent, serious. "Attention all shoppers. Emergency announcement. We have a lost child at the main floor information desk. Her name is Eliza, 5 years old, short black hair, pink dress. Parents, if you can hear this, please come to the main floor information desk immediately. Eliza's waiting. Please come immediately." Voice echoed through everything. Every floor, every store, every corner of the building. Nora watched Eliza's face during the announcement. Small hands clasped together, lips moving, just barely. Praying maybe, or wishing, hard to tell. Thompson set down the microphone. "Now we wait." Silence. All of them watching the crowd. 1 minute, 2, 3. Nothing. People kept moving, shopping, talking, laughing. Normal Saturday. As if no announcement had played at all. Eliza's shoulders started to shake. That flicker of hope. Fading right in front of them. Nora felt it in her chest. Looked at her mother, at Thompson, at all these adults who were supposed to fix things. Nobody could fix this. Couldn't make two parents magically appear. Maybe they're far side of the mall, Thompson said. Takes time to walk here. Didn't sound convinced. 5 minutes. Still nothing. Mall closing in an hour. Nora didn't let herself think about what happened after that. What happened to Eliza if nobody came? Didn't go there. Just stood. Held Eliza's hand. Waited. Somewhere in this building, maybe, two desperate parents had heard a name over a loudspeaker and were running. On the second floor, near the electronics store, Ava and Mark were losing hope. They'd been searching for almost 40 minutes. 40 minutes of running through crowds, checking every store, every bathroom, every corner of the mall, calling Eliza's name until their voices were hoarse. Nothing. Ava's legs were shaking. Her heart was pounding so hard she thought it might burst. Where was her baby? Where was her little girl? Maybe we should call the police, Mark said, his voice cracking. Lost child at the main floor information desk. Her name is Eliza. She's 5 years old. Ava froze. Her breath caught in her throat. Eliza. Main floor, information desk. Someone had found her. Mark, she screamed. They found her. They started running, pushing through the crowd, knocking into shoppers, not caring, not stopping, just running. But the mall was huge and crowded, and they didn't know exactly where the main floor information desk was. They rounded a corner and nearly collided with a security guard, a woman in a Navy uniform with a radio in her hand. Excuse me, Mark started. But the guard was already looking at them, at their desperate faces, at Ava's tear-streaked cheeks. Are you Eliza's parents? She asked. Ava grabbed the guard's arm. Yes, that's our daughter. Where is she? Please, take us to her. The guard nodded quickly. Follow me. She's at the main floor information desk. She's safe. A young girl found her and stayed with her the whole time. A young girl? Someone had helped Eliza. A stranger had found their daughter and taken care of her. Ava felt tears streaming down her face. But she didn't stop to wipe them. She just kept moving, following the guard through the crowd. How far? Mark asked, breathless. 2 minutes. Stay close. 2 minutes. After 40 minutes of terror, 2 minutes until she could hold her daughter again. They walked as fast as they could through the crowded corridor. The guard clearing a path. People stepping aside, some staring, some looking sympathetic. Ava didn't care. She didn't see any of them. All she could see was her daughter's face. All she could think about was holding Eliza in her arms. Just ahead, the guard said. Around this corner. Ava's heart was racing. Her legs were moving faster now, almost running again. And then she saw it. The information desk, the sign, the security guard standing there. And beside him, two figures. A woman in a beige sweater, a girl in a red hoodie, and between them, sitting on a bench, looking so small and so scared, a little girl in a pink dress, black hair, her daughter, her baby. Eliza. Ava didn't think. She just ran. Eliza. Her voice echoed through the mall, raw, desperate, full of 40 minutes of terror finally breaking free. And then she saw her daughter's face change, the fear melting away, the tears stopping, those big blue eyes growing wide with recognition. Mommy! Eliza jumped off the bench and ran, her little legs pumping as fast as they could, her arms stretched out, her pink dress flying behind her. They met in the middle. Ava dropped to her knees and caught her daughter, wrapped her arms around her so tight, pulled her close, buried her face in Eliza's hair. Oh my God, Eliza, Baby, I'm here. Mommy's here. Eliza was sobbing, clinging to her mother's neck, her whole body shaking. I couldn't find you, she cried. I looked everywhere and you were gone, and I was so scared, Mommy. I was so scared. I know, baby. I know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Mark reached them a second later. He fell to his knees beside them and wrapped his arms around both of them. His face was wet with tears, his shoulders shaking. Eliza, thank God. Thank God you're okay. They stayed like that for a long moment. The three of them, holding each other, crying, not caring that they were in the middle of a crowded mall, not caring that people were watching. None of that mattered. All that mattered was that they were together again. Nora stood a few feet away, watching. Her own eyes were blurry with tears. Chloe had her arm around Nora's shoulders, holding her close. You did that, Chloe whispered. You brought them back together. Nora shook her head. I couldn't leave her alone. That's exactly what I mean. Officer Thompson was smiling. The female security guard who had found Ava and Mark was wiping her eyes. Even some of the shoppers who had stopped to watch were crying. Because there's something about a reunion like this. Something that reminds us all of what really matters. Family, love, connection. The things we sometimes forget in our busy lives. The things we take for granted. Until we almost lose them. Ava finally pulled back. She held Eliza's face in her hands, looked at her daughter, really looked at her. Don't ever scare me like that again, she said. Promise me. I promise, Mommy. Ava hugged her again, and this time she didn't let go. Mark stood up slowly. He looked around. His eyes landed on Nora, this 10-year-old girl in a red hoodie who had saved his daughter. And he walked toward her. Mark held his daughter like he would never let go. Eliza's small arms were wrapped around his neck, her face buried in his shoulder, her little body still trembling from the fear and relief. Daddy, she whispered. I was so scared. I know, sweetheart. I know. But you're safe now. Daddy's got you. Ava stood beside them, tears streaming down her face. But these were different tears. Not fear, not panic, just pure, overwhelming relief. She kept one hand on Eliza's back, the other pressed against her own heart, as if trying to slow it down. Nora watched from a few feet away. Chloe stood beside her, arm around her daughter's shoulders. Both of them silent, witnessing this moment. It felt private somehow, sacred. A family being put back together after nearly being torn apart. Mark finally stood up, lifting Eliza with him. She clung to him like a koala, refusing to let go, her face still buried in his shoulder. And then Ava looked up. Her eyes found Nora, this 10-year-old girl in a red hoodie who had changed everything. You, Ava said, her voice breaking. You're the one who found her? Nora nodded slowly, suddenly feeling shy. Yes, I found her in the toy store. She was crying. Ava walked toward her, her steps unsteady, her face wet with tears. Do you have any idea what you did? She asked. Do you understand? Nora shook her head. She didn't know what to say. You saved my daughter. Ava's voice cracked. You could have walked away. You could have ignored her, like everyone else did. But you stopped. You helped. You stayed with her for almost an hour. I couldn't just leave her, Nora said quietly. She was scared. She needed someone. Ava let out a sob. And then she pulled Nora into a hug, tight, desperate, full of gratitude that words couldn't express. Thank you, she whispered into Nora's hair. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nora felt her own tears coming now. She hugged Ava back, this stranger, This mother who had almost lost everything. Chloe wiped her eyes. Mark was watching. Eliza still in his arms, his expression full of emotion. "What's your name?" Mark asked, his voice thick. "Nora." "Nora." He said it like he was memorizing it, like he would never forget it. "I don't know how to thank you. What you did. For our family." "It's okay," Nora said. "I'm just glad she's safe." Eliza lifted her head from Mark's shoulder. She looked at Nora with those big blue eyes, still red from crying, but something else there now. "Thank you, Nora," she said softly. "You're my friend." And Nora smiled. A real smile. The first one in over an hour. "You're my friend too, Eliza. Time to say goodbye." Ava and Mark had thanked everyone. Thompson, the other guard, Chloe. Numbers exchanged. Promises made. One more goodbye left, the important one. Eliza walked over slowly. Shy now somehow, after everything. Pink dress wrinkled, hair messy from crying. She stopped right in front of Nora and looked up, then threw her arms around Nora's waist and held on. Nora hesitated just a second, then hugged back. This little girl she'd known for an hour. Stranger who wasn't quite a stranger anymore. "Thank you for finding me," Eliza whispered into her hoodie. "Thank you for staying." Nora felt her eyes sting. "Of course, I would never leave you alone. You're the best friend I ever made in a mall." Soft laugh, tearful. "You're the best friend I ever made in a mall too." Eliza pulled back, looked up. "Will I see you again?" Nora glanced at Chloe. Chloe glanced at Ava. Both mothers smiled. "I think so. Our moms have each other's numbers. Maybe a play date." Eliza's face, first real smile. Not relief, not gratitude. Actual happiness. "Really? Promise?" "Promise." Another hug, tighter. Ava was crying again, quiet. Mark had his arm around her, eyes glistening. He looked at Chloe. "You should be very proud." "I am," Chloe said. "More than I can say." "When we couldn't find her..." Ava stopped, started again. Those minutes kept passing, and I thought we'd lost her. I thought... Couldn't finish. "But you didn't," Chloe said. "Because Nora found her and stayed. A 10-year-old. Ava shook her head. She stopped. She cared. She helped. Most adults wouldn't have done that. Eliza let go, stepped back, wiped her nose with her hand. "Goodbye, Nora." "Goodbye, Eliza. Stay close to your mom and dad, okay?" Serious nod. "I will. Promise." Mark lifted her up. Ava looked at Nora one last time. Something in it, something more than thank you. And then they walked away. Family. Together. Nora watched the pink dress disappear into the crowd. Smaller, smaller. Gone. Chloe's hand on her shoulder. "Ready to go home?" "Yeah." Nora didn't move. Not yet. Just stood there another moment. Thinking about a little girl crying in a toy store. About a decision. About 1 hour that had somehow been everything. And a new friend named Eliza. That night, the house went quiet. Nora on the couch, still in her red hoodie. Hadn't changed. Didn't want to. Chloe came in with 2 mugs of hot chocolate, handed one over, sat down. No words, just sat. Marshmallows melting. "You okay?" Chloe asked. "I don't know." Nora stared at the mug. I keep seeing her face, those big eyes. She was so tiny. Silence. Chloe let it sit. 4 years old. Nora's voice quieter now. "Can you imagine? Your mom's gone and you're surrounded by strangers and nothing makes sense?" "No, I can't." She had this stuffed elephant. Wouldn't let go of it. Kept squeezing it so hard. Pause. I think that's what got me. The elephant. Like that was the only thing that still felt safe. Chloe rubbed her back. Didn't speak. Just let her talk. And the weird thing is, I wasn't even thinking. Saw her crying and just walked over. Didn't plan it. Didn't think I should help. Just did it. That's because you're you. What do you mean? Chloe took a sip. Thought about it. Most people see someone in trouble, and their brain starts making excuses. Someone else will help. I don't want to get involved. They talk themselves out of it before they take a single step. She looked at Nora. You don't do that. Never have. Even when you were little, kid crying on the playground, you just go. No hesitation. Nora hadn't thought about it that way. To her, it seemed obvious. Someone's upset, you help. What's there to think about? I was scared, though, she said. Whole time, heart pounding. What if her mom got mad at me? What if I made things worse? But you did it anyway. Yeah. That's courage. Not about not being scared. About being scared and doing it anyway. Nora let that sit. She'd never thought of herself as brave. Brave was firefighters and soldiers, not 10-year-olds in malls. But maybe brave didn't have to be big. Her mom cried, Nora said. When she found us, she just dropped everything, grabbed Eliza and started crying, then hugged me, this stranger. Hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Because you gave her back the most important thing in her life. I didn't do much. Just stayed with her. Talked to her. That's not much. To a scared 4-year-old, you were a safe person in a sea of scary. You were calm when she was panicking. You were there when she had nobody. Chloe paused. That's everything. Nora's eyes went wet, blinked fast. Why am I crying now? Everything's fine. Eliza's home. Feelings are weird. Chloe pulled her closer. Sometimes they wait until you're safe to come out. You were so busy being strong, your brain didn't have time. Now it's catching up. Weird hiccupy laugh. That's stupid. That's human. Hot chocolate went cold. Neither of them moved. Mom? You think she'll remember me? Maybe, maybe not. She's pretty young. I hope she does. Not for credit or anything. Nora searched for it. I want her to know that when she was scared, someone helped. That people can be good. I know. Because the world's scary sometimes. And I want her to grow up knowing, even when it's scary, there are people who'll stop, who'll sit with you, who won't just walk past. Chloe didn't answer, just held her a little tighter. Outside, dark street, neighbor's lights off. Dog barked once, went quiet. Normal night, normal life. But something had shifted. Not the world. Just Nora. Just a little. She'd learned something today. About herself. About what she could do. About who she wanted to be. Tomorrow would be regular again. Homework, friends, the usual. But she'd carry this. The feeling of having mattered, even small. I love you, Mom. I love you too. I'm glad Eliza's okay. Me too. I'm glad I stopped. So am I. Chloe held her tighter. So am I. That was it. No speeches, no big moment. Just a mom and her kid on a couch with cold hot chocolate, grateful for a day that could have gone wrong. Sometimes that's enough. Most of the time, that's everything.